Hi, we're still in section 11.6, objective 3. We talked about the vertex, the axis symmetry, whether the parabola opens up or down, and whether it's wider or narrower. So now we're going to combine these all together. Okay, here's an example in the worksheet. I'm not going to do this one because there's a couple in the homework, and I want to do one of those instead. So I picked the hardest one. I picked number 11, so I'm going to go ahead and put that up here, and we'll start with that one. Just show you what it says here. Okay, so this is number 11. So for this one, they want us to identify the vertex, the axis symmetry, graph it, the domain, the range. So this is one, again, it's kind of in this form right here. So what I did was I rewrote this just so I have more room. I wrote it down here along with the function that's on the top of the sheet there. So we have everything labeled. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is identify the vertex. So I want to identify H and K. So this is my H. So my H is -3. And I want to find my K. My K is 4. Okay, so that's the first thing, the vertex. The axis symmetry is x is equal to -3. Okay, so let's answer that part first. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and graph it. So what I usually do is I include the vertex, and then I pick a couple points that are, you know, each way away from the vertex. So -3 I went down 2, and I went up 2, just to get a good idea. And what I'm going to do is for these values, I'll just plug in a couple of these, and then I'll pause and I'll put the answers for the other ones. So let me go ahead and do this one. So I'm going to plug it in right here. So I get -2, I'm going to try to write small, -5 plus 3 squared plus 4. This gives me -2. -2 squared is 4. I'm running out of room, so I'm going to write, just go ahead and write that down. So it's -2, this -2. -5 times 3 is -2, and if I square that, I get 4. So I get -8 plus 4, which gives me -4. I'm just going to circle it because I got kind of messy there. Okay, so that's the first one. Let me just do one more down here, and I'll put the answers in for the other one. So I'm plugging in -1 right here. So again, all I do is plug in -1 for x here. This gives me 2. This one I have more room, so I'll write more steps. This gives me -2 times 4. Which gives me -8 plus 4. Just like here, I end up getting -4. Okay, so this is one ordered pair. This is another ordered pair. I'm going to pause it and just put down, actually, I'll just put down the answers to the rest of these. You can go ahead and go pause this if you'd like. But let me go ahead and write down the other answers here. This one's 2. That one's a vertex, of course. And this one's 2 as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause this and plot these on the graph over here to the left. And then we'll talk about A, whether it opens up or down and all that stuff. And we'll kind of see it from there. Okay, so let me just pause it. Okay, so I went ahead and plotted these points. Here's -5, -4, -4, -2, my vertex, -2 and 2, and then this one's -1, -4. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and talk about the value of A, whether it opens up or down. We can kind of tell already. And then whether it's wider or narrower. So let's go back on that. So in this case, my A is -2. Okay, because that's, oops, you can't see that. Because it's negative, I know it's going to open down. Let me just show you that from the previous slide here. So it opens up if it's positive, it opens down if it's negative. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to find the absolute value of A to see whether it's wider or narrower. So if I take the absolute value of A, that gives me 2. Okay, so going back to the other sheet here, that'd be this one right here. It's greater than 1, so it should be narrower. And you could tell it is. It's actually narrow. It opens down and it's narrow. We could tell that by the points as well. Okay, let's go back and answer the other questions related to here. The domain is the next thing. The domain is negative infinity to infinity. It goes forever to the left, forever to the right. And then find the range. This time it opens down, so that's why I picked this one in particular. So the range would be the lowest value, which is negative infinity, up to the highest y value, which is 4. So negative infinity to 4 is actually right there too. Okay, so this is homework number 11. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 in the homework, and I picked the hardest one, so hopefully that'll have that answered. And again, if not, you can always go back and look at this one, but this one's probably a little bit harder, I would say.